So if we put this all into one big picture now, we can see on our side what we want from the horse, and we can see on the horse's side what he wants. So let's ask the question, are any of the things that we want from the horse natural for him to give to us? They're not, are they? So on top of everything else, on top of the fact that he needs all these things, and these are the things we want, all the things that we want from the horse aren't even natural for him. They're not actually in his world. He is programmed in his head as a wild animal, and we are taking him into a domestic environment. Even if he's bred in a domestic environment, he's still wild in here. That's why he needs all these things on his terms. And we have to go in at that level and try and understand that. Which brings us to motive. What is our motive? Are we purely 100% concerned with what we want from the horse? Because if that's all we're interested in, and we're not taking into consideration his needs on his terms and saying it's really important, let's redress the balance a little bit and say, okay, let's get all this right for the horse, because then we can start looking at this side of things, what we want from him. What is the benefit for him by any of these things that we want for him? In his mind, what's the benefit? There isn't any benefit for him. These are the things he needs. Okay, so our motive needs to be balanced, looking at things from his perspective. In order to be balanced and get horsemanship into the equation, we need to have a good sense of leadership. Do we understand what leadership is? Leadership is not about dominance, and most people around horses seem to think that because they're a big animal, we need to dominate them. Leadership from the horse actually creates the willingness, and dominance doesn't do that. That's a poor style of leadership. So we need to understand what are the criteria that will help us to bring this about. So to successfully manage our horse, we need three things, and then we need to be able to break those things down. Now here we have three lists, and they come into specific categories. Those categories will be familiar to many people. They've been around a long time, and it could be said, well, this is old hat stuff. It comes out of the 70s. But when we're training the horse, one of the things that's essential for training the horse is we have to, whenever we introduce anything new to the horse, we work off a platform that is familiar to him. We take something he already knows and understands, and we work from that, and we expand it by degrees. So that's basically what I'm doing here with you. I'm taking you back to the 1970s. I'm taking you back to attitude, knowledge, and skill, the three criteria that we need. And then we'll move on from there. So very quickly, if we run through what do we need from an attitude perspective when it comes to the horse, well, the first thing we need is humility. Why would we need humility? We're supposed to be a superior species. Well, we've got an animal that doesn't speak our language, and so it's essential that we go down to his level and get inside his head, get inside his mind, find out what makes him tick, find out what he needs. We've just looked at what his needs are, and work with him and provide him those needs on his terms and not ours. Whilst we want to be a leader and manage that leadership role, if we don't understand what's involved in that, we're not going to reach it. So humility. We need to have patience. We need to understand that there'll be things that he doesn't understand, and that we've got to bear with him. We need to be open-minded. We need to look at the whole situation of the horse and say, perhaps I need to look at it from this way, or maybe I should look at it from that way. A horse is a tremendously loyal creature, and he actually understands loyalty very well, and he responds to loyalty, and he recognizes whether we are loyal or disloyal. We need to have a sense of responsibility and accept that it's very often difficult to get everything right. If we don't get something right, accept that it's our fault. The horse is a mirror of all our mistakes, so when he doesn't perform, we should look back and say what needed to be changed, where did that go wrong, when did it start, why did it start, how did it start? And accept responsibility in the same way that the horse has to be responsible with any group for his own actions. Honesty. The horse is an honest horse. There aren't any dishonest horses. We cause problems for horses, but they're still honest. They always tell us what they're going to do. It's a question, were we looking? Had we got our eyes open? Integrity. The horse, very, very closely linked to loyalty. Sense of humor. That doesn't mean we will ridicule the horse or make him an object of ridicule. It doesn't mean that he's a joke. It means that we have to see the little idiosyncrasies that can amuse us and take the pressure off him a little bit at times, because he's an individual and he's a character, and we need to be able to develop that character. Horses come to me and they are totally blocked. You can't see a character. They don't have a character because it's been totally destroyed. Allow that character to emerge and actually start to enjoy it. Empathy. Now, have you ever been in a situation where you've been really badly hurt by something or somebody emotionally to such an extent that you're crying and hurting inside? And somebody that you're talking to about this briefly says, I know exactly how you feel. And you know jolly well that they've never been where you are now, that they are not you, and that they do not understand how you feel. Well, that's empathy. It's very difficult to put yourself into somebody else's shoes and walk a mile in their shoes and understand exactly how they feel. You may not have as hard a feet as them, or you may have harder feet than them. But we have to try and get there with the horse, and it's hard because we're not even the same species. So we really, really, really have to work hard at empathy. Now that doesn't mean we make excuses for the horse. It doesn't mean we get soft and let him get away with stuff. But at the same token, we don't dominate him either. So it's a fine line of balance, and we're continually redressing that balance. Awareness. What's our level of awareness? Are we seeing what's here in front of us now, or do we have a peripheral sense of awareness that involves all our senses? Observation, same thing. But do we perhaps only see things we want to see, or do we see things from the horse's point of view the way he would want us to see them? The way he's basically asking us to see them. Look at it from my point of view. It's a question that he's always saying to us as soon as he starts to resist. Perseverance. We have to keep on and on and on, quietly reminding the horse, doing the same thing with him, over and over, but in a different way, giving him variety, but same message. So all that is just involved in attitude, just one of the criteria. Knowledge. Well, what knowledge do we need? The knowledge we need is knowledge of the species as a whole, complete. Wild animal, wild inside his head, physical needs, emotional needs, and what sort of a spirit does he have? Then we need the knowledge of our individual horse. What's this individual horse's personality? What's his temperament like? Where's he been before we had him? What's happened to him in the past? What makes him tick as an individual? How to train him appropriately, how to school him appropriately, and how to manage him appropriately. Notice that the appropriately is a really important word. It's not what we think. We tend to think this about the horse and that about the horse, but is it appropriate for him as a species and as an individual? Knowledge about you and your ability at any point in time with whatever you're doing around the horse. Knowledge about the horse's ability at any point in time. Maybe his ability today isn't the ability he has tomorrow. Maybe his ability yesterday was better than it was today because of some change in his physical being. Are we actually assessing that on a day-to-day basis and saying, look at him, let's have a look at him today before we ask anything of him. What's he like in his mind? What's he like in his body? Because things can change quickly with the horse. So let's go into the skills section. Awareness. What is our level of awareness, which we've also discussed in attitude? But if it's something that we have to work at, then we have to become skillful at taking note of everything around us.